répartis suite à différentes causes, les conflits, les attaques terroristes, les changements climatiques et autres. Malheureusement, le chiffre n'est pas plutôt en baisse, mais plutôt tendance à la hausse.
Okay. Tech, earlier was speaking and you were speaking to me about policy, and I think now would be a good time for you to pose that question that you wanted to share with the panel.
Thank you very much once again. I would pose a question first to Professor Chaloka about, he talked, and I know he has visited South Sudan several times and helped them also domesticate the Kampala Convention, drafting it into a national law. And I think also it's now before the parliament in South Sudan. And what I wanted to ask is, how far are they moving with the process? And what have you advised them so far such that the law could be operationalized as you said, because you said the focus has to be on the operationalization of the Kampala Convention. What have you done as a person who guided them for a while, and they could be able to listen to, because you might have some friends also within the government, and you know where exactly to go and give you advice to. What have you done so far for the process, and up to where have they reached now on nationalization of the Kampala Convention? And the other question would be on, okay,
I think let them take one at a time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Teke. Well, the lawmaking process in relation to IDPs usually takes a minimum of 6 months. It's not a process that is designed, as I said, again, in legal offices. You often start with a workshop on law and policy and get the key people involved in protection, so that they understand the entire process and framework as it goes. And there are important stages through that. After the initial workshop, you get recommendations that reflect the country situation. You then have the zero draft that goes to be validated. After validation, then it goes to endorsement and adoption. Now, in all these key processes, the key interlocutors must be carried aboard. So in the context of South Sudan, the initial recommendations to have the law came from the 2 parliamentary committees, as you know, Human Rights and Justice. Because of that, the MPs and those 2 parliamentary committees were present throughout the workshops. I then had bilateral meetings with the MPs and the Speaker to talk about the process and how, when it goes to Parliament, it's important for them to adopt the legislation, and they were on board in that particular regard. You also spoke to the Minister of Justice, because in the end, they're the ones who are going to put it in the format that national legislation usually follows, and for them to understand that the technical, elegant drafting that trained draftspersons do would not actually work. Don't mess with the detail, because everything is about content. So in the context of South Sudan, all of this was done right up to parliamentary level, right up to the Speaker's office, and the MPs have been sensitized. The next stage to engage with the MPs is when they open up the draft legislation for public participation. And that is the point at which perhaps I'll return and work with a number of civil society, a number of interlocutors, again, in the government, to be able to provide some guidance to the MPs and also to make sure that the process actually goes forward as it was. So that's the legislative framework part. In terms of the operationalization, the Act itself was drafted to mirror the design of the Kampala Convention, because it implements it and incorporates its provisions altogether. So by having an Act of Parliament, the first stage in operationalization means that the government has a dedicated, legally binding framework internally, and each government, as you know, those who work with governments, is bound to allocate resources to the implementation of an act of parliament. So that's key number one in terms of resources. How is this done? When peace returns to South Sudan, or even as it is returning, the Act provides that 30% of the oil revenues, the national oil revenues, should go into an IDP fund to make sure that there are budgetary resources dedicated to IDPs, and which from that point of view, the government and the international partners can provide more. Where does that go? That goes to the field where the IDPs are. It's clearly stated in the Act in terms of the participation of IDPs in the process of the allocation of resources in relation to them, in planning solutions related to their displacement. And the unique factor, as you know, of course, is that although emphasis is so much on the IDPs who are in the COPs, the civilian protection of POCs, protection of civilians units, but the vast majority of IDPs in South Sudan are actually hosted by receiving populations. So there has to be a community approach in the first instance and deal with those cases on an operational level and try to find situations where, in the context of the receiving populations, the displacement affected communities have an equal measure of support and services. And also to use the development approach is the first one that uses a whole of society approach in the context of IDPs to make sure that there are development projects, local area-based investments that go into local communities in order for them to absorb IDPs and be able to support the IDPs. And also to empower the IDPs so that if they return eventually, they are able themselves to take economic matters in their own hands. But if they stay where they are, there's also sustainability. The key challenging aspect, obviously the POC sites. And I had warned the UN mission when I went there on mission that, look, your capabilities here are completely non-existent. The guidelines on the protection of civilians units had 3 paragraphs. The first said the primary purpose of the mission is to protect IDPs. The second said the protection of civilians and IDPs is a matter of last resort. Completely in contradiction. And then thirdly, we want the IDPs to move out of the POCs as soon as possible. I had to intervene many times, even with a representative of the Secretary General, that you can't remove them from here because you'll be sending them to death. So it also follows that in the context of the POC sites, the political ramifications of displacement follow the IDPs. The IDPs in the POC sites are highly politicized, as you may know. So that's key number one. You have got to get the political leadership and others to get involved in the application of solutions alongside IDPs. IDPs have to have site visits to places of origin or close by, assess the situation for themselves. Is it safe enough for us to go back? Can we live close by if we can't really go back to our places of origin? Or some perhaps may not actually want to go back. My own advice to the government is that they had to prepare in the urban areas to integrate the IDPs in the POC sites because it was very unlikely that they would ever go back to the places of origin. So it has to be part of the planning, urban planning in Juba to absorb the IDPs and elsewhere, Malacca and where they are, so that the process of planning development targets IDPs as nationals and they have a stable relationship in the urban areas where they are. Because the trend in terms of displacement is that it's becoming more and more urban. Cities provide protection, they have infrastructure, they are protected. And most of the IDPs now tend to go to cities rather than go into the rural areas where there are no services, there's no protection. So that's part of the advice. It's a long story.
I have a feeling the two of you will do lunch together.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. All right. We have about 7 minutes. I wanted you to speak briefly, Commissioner, on the returnees, refugees. What is the situation in Uganda?
Well, there are two levels, all types of returnees. One is what we call informal returnees, and those, technically we call them spontaneous returnees of refugees. Spontaneous in the sense that they don't announce their return. They are going back to the authorities or to the government. But they simply leave their documentation is behind at the borders. The other issue is that these informal returnees sometimes go back home when they feel and they have heard that the situation back home is okay, and therefore they want to go and check whether it is true or not. And some of them disappear mysteriously. We have heard stories of them disappearing and joining forces across borders. It is true, it's not something that I want to hide. And therefore, those are the informal returnees that we know that are taking place. The only way, ladies and gentlemen, that we can know with certainty that refugees have gone back is by undertaking a validation or registration exercise. And we have just done this, and we know for sure how many returnees have gone back, because their families tell us, their friends within the settlement say, no, X, W, Z, and G went back home, and they haven't returned. And also this can be seen from the land parcels or plots of land that we gave to them when they are empty, and therefore we know that that person has, or that person, or that family has gone back. So those are the two ways that we have done this, and my recommendation to member states is that with support from UNHCR, this can be established. We can know with certainty how many refugees have gone back if a validation or registration exercise is conducted. Thank you.
All right, I'm just going to ask one more question to anybody on the panel who will take it, and then we'll open it up to 2 questions. So my question at this point to close us off is, wouldn't it be better to use this money that we use, okay, that we're using it, to focus more on what is causing displacement than looking at solving the problems that come as a result? So we keep mentioning conflict. We keep mentioning drought and natural calamities. I'm told there are other factors as well. Professor Chaloka was speaking about the other factors that have come in as well, new emerging factors for displacement. Maybe you could start us off with some of those new emerging factors, and then also share your thoughts on what we could do better with the money that we have.
Thank you very much. I think in terms of the new factors and trends, it's quite clear that climate change has a multiple and multiplier effect in terms of displacement, from floods to desertification, to famine, food insecurity, shortages. But when the Kampala Convention was being drafted, there was something else that did not see the end of the day. And it was a category called lack of development-induced displacement. That the lack of displacement, the lack of development in many cases would push people, to move. Now that was debated at length, and due to the way in which the international system for the protection of IDPs emerged, there's no category of lack of development-induced displacement, because the major approach has always been humanitarian, rather than a development-based approach which might have addressed it. So we come to Kampala in the whole opposite. President Museveni is the chair, and he says, yeah, but it all reads very well. But where is the lack of development that addresses people and those who move because of this? And then we started punching our heads that we shouldn't have dropped that category, because it really is a factor in terms of the way in which the lopsided aspects of development in our countries mean that people are looking for incentives that are development related and cause them to move. Related to climate change, it's a measure of adaptation as well to climate change. What should we do? I suggest, first of all, that we take some time to read and study the Kampala Convention. Our brother told us, wherever I go, the Kampala Convention is known. But I'm sorry to say that not many people have actually read it and interrogated. It has root causes in Article 3, identified, debated, marginalization, economic deprivation, discrimination, ethnic strife, everything that relates to displacement was debated at large and condensed in that particular paragraph. What we need then in terms of prevention is to be able to devote enough resources to make sure that marginalization is nipped in the bud, that people of a particular identity do not feel like they are colonized or second-class citizens in their own countries. The vast majority of IDPs are persons of a different ethnic, religious, or nationality identity, without exception. I think that's important. And in terms of development-related approaches, the Kampala Convention addressed that, sustainability and self-reliance in relation to IDPs, rather than the handouts that we have in terms of humanitarian action, as it were. The durable solutions, area-based, are not one size fits all, because the situations are different within countries and between countries. And there has to be planning in terms of what are the area-based solutions that may work for the local people within a particular region or at national level. Now, all of those aspects are in the Kampala Convention. If we applied it, operationalized it, I think that 3/4 of our problems would be resolved.
Or read it even. Yeah. We start with reading it before we start applying it. Commissioner, would you like to say something? Okay.
I think he has mentioned it. The new emerging factors for displacement, both at international or local levels, other than what we know, conflicts, drought, militarization, and so on. He has mentioned something to do with lack of development-induced displacement. And in Uganda, we are calling it economic refugees. And it has come to our notice that every 100 asylum seekers in Uganda, about 30 to 33% are economically induced asylum seekers. And for us, we are trying to reject them because they are looking for employment opportunities. They are looking for greener pastures. They are really looking for ways of survival which they can't find in their respective countries of origin. And so we are saying that yes, if that's the case, then the law is very clear. The international convention and treaty and the protocols on provision of asylum seekers and provision of asylum space to people of concern must be guided. And it must be to do with persecution, political, religion, murder, to mention but a few, not economics.
All right. Commissioner?
Merci beaucoup. Nous l'avons à maintes fois répété, la solution humanitaire ne peut pas tout résoudre. Il faut plutôt trouver des solutions pérennes, des solutions durables aux causes. Je n'insisterai pas sur certains aspects. Les conflits, ça c'est connu. Il faut s'attaquer aux causes profondes dans les conflits. Et il faut aussi engager ceux qui sont en conflit à aller effectivement vers la paix. C'est ça la base. Mais vous ne pouvez pas faire la paix à la place de personnes qui ne veulent pas aller à la paix. Malheureusement, en Afrique, nous savons quand un conflit commence, mais on ne sait malheureusement pas quand ce conflit prend fin. Un. Et deux, les conséquences. Et pour reconstruire, ça prend des décennies. Et là, il faut qu'on travaille tous pour la paix et la sécurité et la stabilité du continent. Je disais que la solution ne peut pas être uniquement humanitaire. La gouvernance politique avec des élections qui soient libres, qui soient crédibles, qui soient transparentes et surtout des élections qui ne posent pas de problème. Des élections inclusives, parce que ça arrive aussi, on n'inclut pas tout le monde. le premier point de départ, c'est une bonne gouvernance politique. Une fois qu'on a cela, la gouvernance économique. Et moi, en relisant la convention de Kampala, je vois ceux qui ont pensé cette convention étaient quand même plus ou moins futuristes en parlant du secteur privé, les entreprises agricoles qui viennent sur le continent africain. On retire les terres à certaines personnes et on veut de l'agriculture mécanisée, ok, mais au détriment parfois des populations. Ça, il faut regarder ça. Lorsque nos partenaires viennent pour signer des accords pour exploiter nos ressources minières, il faut aussi qu'une place importante soit accordée justement à ces personnes qui seront les victimes de ces exploitations minières. Aujourd'hui, on a les attaques terroristes. Comment est-ce que l'humanitaire peut résoudre les attaques terroristes? Non, il faut une coopération de tout le monde avec surtout le soutien de la communauté internationale. Le terrorisme est une gangrène qui n'épargne aucun pays, mais la solution humanitaire ne saurait résoudre cette question. Il faut, pour résumer, une bonne gouvernance politique, une bonne gouvernance économique, une bonne gouvernance sociale. Et j'ai beaucoup aimé la réponse de mon frère concernant la corruption. Malheureusement, effectivement, le secteur humanitaire n'est pas à l'abri de la corruption. Il faut moins de corruption sur le continent africain, y compris dans le domaine humanitaire, y compris dans la gestion de la question des réfugiés sur le continent africain. Merci.
All right, I'll just take 2 questions from this side. Okay, we'll start here. I've been given 10 minutes. Maybe we can bargain for more time. We can bribe the officials on the other side and ask for more time.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Allow me to congratulate and to express our gratitude to the government and people of Uganda, and also for the warm hospitality and excellent environment provided by Uganda for making the very successful consultation meetings in the last few days, and also to congratulate my sister, the Ambassador Rebecca, for the work very well done. I think the 6th of December, as it has been really raised by Director of Political Affairs, Matt Losa, it's coincide, of course, with the anniversary of Kampala Convention, but also with the birthday of our commissioner from Uganda. And congratulate you, but also we will not forget your birthday because it coincides with the 6th of December, the Kampala Convention. I think in the next 4 days also the world will celebrate the human right, the universal human right of the human right worldwide. And I think all of these rights, Kampala Convention, the right of refugees, the IDPs, is connected. It is connected, and it is very well to celebrate it in Uganda. I think the subject at discussion, it has been exhausted from the different brilliant panelists, and they have tackled the subject from different angles. But I think there is one really angle linked to that. We have worldwide 41,300,000 IDPs, as it has been announced early on, and among these is 17.4 million in Africa. Who hosts these refugees or IDPs? Are African countries and African communities. We have to thank them. We have to express our gratitude to them. We have to take in consideration how we can support them, how can we give them assistance on the regional level or on world level. I think Uganda has set example and need to be congratulated for that. And I do also think also that other countries, you know, the example which came to my mind because I came from Western Sahara, it's Sahara Republic, and it's really Algeria, who hosted Sahrawi refugees for the last 40 years. These refugees are waiting for the political solution to be implemented on practice. This is one thing. The other point really, which is really important, I'm very encouraged by the Commissioner that she said this meeting and this year of refugees and the IDPs and refugees and durable solution, it's not 1 year off, but it is just starting process to continue, and it will take another form of continuation after 2019. And I think Kampala Convention is very important. Implementation of the convention is very, very significant, and I think it will be very important that to put this Kampala Convention up front, not to put it in the back banner, by which the member state can sign and ratify it and also implement. I think durable solution is very important, because I don't want to add more, because the Commissioner have said it, Dr. Baniani have said it, one issue cannot be, the solution for one issue cannot be fit for all. But the most important is the African problem, find African solution. That is exactly very important for us. We express our, disponibility for the Commissioner to work together to take the subject forward and to make it really successful one on the general context of the policy of the African Union. Thank you, Madam Moderator, for giving Sahara Republic the floor.
All right, thank you very much. Yes?
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to be as brief as possible. I'd like to begin by repeating our gratitude to the marvelous Ugandan people for their hospitality. Particularly a particular word of gratitude to my sister Rebecca, from Ambassador to AU in Addis. Hats off, Uganda, hats off for the way you've handled the refugee problem. You will be one of the 30 countries that have signed, ratified, and actually properly implemented it. So my first question is going to be more in the form of questions, comments, and clarifications, Chair. Hats off for your initiative on corruption. Mauritius is one of the least corrupt countries in Africa, if not the least corrupt country in Africa. We'd like to give you all the support that we can as a country in your endeavor towards reducing corruption. Remember, in Mauritius, we've had a president who had to resign. We've had ministers who've been sued, who've gone to jail. This is the way we seriously treat corruption. Commissioner, I'm very happy that you produced a very good solution. Political governance. I'd like to repeat my support for what you said. If you don't have political governance in a country, whether it's South Sudan or wherever, you won't get anywhere. So political governance would also imply actually implementing the Kampala Convention. If you have good political governance in a country, preferably in countries which apply democracy. Democracy in its right form, not democracy which, when results come out of elections, you start a civil war. That's not a democracy, right? And we do have proper democracies in Africa, right, which can act as good examples of why, if you have good political governance, economic and social governance will follow automatically, and you probably have a drastic reduction in number of IDPs, refugees, and so on. Chair would also like to suggest, in order to my Professor Chaloka, the 25 countries that have not ratified and signed, and I must say Mauritius is one of them, and I think Commissioner knows that very well, we have very strong reservations on certain articles. Now, look at the 10 years that it's not been, the 25 countries have not signed and ratified. You must have known by now what are their reservations. I would like to suggest in the future, Professor, in view of your profound expertise, maybe you should consider having a retreat or a review of the Kampala Convention, because it should be considered as a dynamic document. We would have, as a country, would have very strong recommendations to amendments to certain articles, and then we'd be only too happy to go sign and ratify. But having said that, even if you have not signed and ratified, Mauritius still applies most of the articles when it comes to problems of people who are suffering from natural disasters, floods, and so on. We don't need to sign in order to do things, right? So for those 30 countries that have signed, Commissioner, Why has been the level of implementation low? Why has it been so low? Is it because the articles are not right, the articles have to be reframed, articles of the Kampala Convention, or is it because the states have limited resources? That is something that we need to reflect on, I think, right? You would agree with me. Other than that, it was a brilliant 5 days we've spent here, very nice, good food, nice climate, better climate than Addis, with due respect to my Ethiopian fellow citizens, right? And we enjoyed it, thank you very much. And I think what I would like to suggest in the future, Chair, is if we could consider a retreat, perhaps, or a, I don't know, a conference, a summit to consider why is it that 25 countries have still not signed, 10 years afterwards, they still have not signed and ratified. I'll tell you why. Mauritius has got very strong reservations on a certain number of articles, and I'm sure others have. And finally, Chair, like one of our brilliant panelists said yesterday, whatever number of laws you've got, legal instruments, normative framework as he called it, if you do not have the right people in a country to implement the laws, if you do not have it, whether it's South Sudan or Mauritius or wherever it is, if you do not have the right, it's the people who count eventually. A country should be run people-based, center-based, not laws, 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 because you can sign, ratify, and still not do anything about it. Or some people would even apply the laws to their benefit, to their personal benefit, not to the benefit of the country's population and so on. So I think we need to give a top priority, as in answer to my friend's text and Professor Chaluka's answer. I know we have so many measures that you have to put through, but at the end of it, you have to have the right leaders. You have to have the right people to implement all those proper measures. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. We'll just take one more. There's a lady at the back.
Good morning to everyone. Again, my name is Fat Jain from the Gambia, a victim and a survivor of human trafficking. I was informed that 105 young people using the sea again, and 58 Gambian young people died recently. I was just informed. What can we do about this? We really need your help and your support. Young people are dying, young people are leaving. Why are we leaving Africa and going outside? We want solutions to our problems. We are here for that. We are not here to come and attend conferences, meetings, workshops, and go back and sit like that. Our people are going. We are going. As for me, I believe that we can make it here in Africa, but they don't know. What can we do to stop this? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll start with you, Take, and then we'll come this way as we close. So as you give a response or make a remark to whatever I said, then you also give your closing remarks. So we'll close from here.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the chance again. I will start to Commissioner as a question, and I'll give my final remarks and answer. Commissioner, as a government of Uganda, we are brothers and sisters, as we are South Sudanese and you are Ugandan. We share the same people and the same land as well. Before the funds that have been said by Professor Shaloka and you've said for the refugees and IDPs will be deposited, before it is pocketed by few individuals like what happened in your country that you have been saying now, before it is pocketed by few individuals in South Sudan, what advice as an experience that you got from what happened in your country should you give to other member states here and to South Sudan specifically before few individuals pocketed that money and we fight for accountability for it? And my final brief will be, thank you very much for bringing me.
Do you want to just make that clear again, what you said?
Okay, I'm just asking him, or a question that, what advice should he give to South Sudan on management of fund that would be allocated for return, resettlement, and reintegrations of IDPs in South Sudan before few individuals pocket that money in South Sudan? My final remark is, grateful to government of Uganda and its people, to the member states, and to UNHCR and AU that made me, after this meeting, after this high-level dialogue. I'm privileged. I'll thank God for all this. And hoping also that you will lift us up as South Sudanese youth. We are young as a nation, and we are young as people. And you as elders, member states in our Africa, you need to also invest in us like that we should join your youth in your country that are having many opportunities. And you also, AU could help me disseminate the Kampala Convention in South Sudan, because we as IDPs and people in South Sudan don't know the Kampala Convention. And I would love to say that thank you very much, but a continent that could not tap into the talent and energy of its youth will be left behind. So help us in moving forward, and thank you very much.
Professor?
Thank you very much, and I'll try to relate to the issues. Very quickly, the point made by the distinguished representative from the Sahrawi Democratic Republic in terms of this year being not just the starting point, but the continuing, I think is very, very important. There are certain measures of symbolism that we need to take here. We have Africa Freedom Day, we have Refugee Day. We don't have an Africa IDP Day. And to simply commemorate that and establish it, I think would be a good starting point in terms of sensitization and symbolism. We're in Kigali when the anniversary of the adoption of the Kampala Convention took place on the 23rd of October. It only took the UN Secretary General to release a statement that on this day the Kampala Convention came in force, and he used that opportunity to announce the establishment of a high-level panel. There was deafening silence from our member states and from the AU itself. I think those measures of symbolism are important. Coming to the points raised by the distinguished representative from Mauritius and touching upon the issues of corruption, the situation of IDPs, and because of the humanitarian approach to it, where people have access to funds and they move funds, raises immense opportunities for fraud amongst fraudsters. And it's not just in Africa. Uganda, I encountered this almost everywhere. In some countries, those responsible for IDPs were being called by politicians. Can you put my wife as an IDP or my brother, because they think that there'll be money coming in their way. So the point taken here is in the legislation, insofar as they may be able to implement it, there's the role of the Auditor General to oversee. I'm not quite sure how effective that office is. There's a responsible officer who manages the fund, and they'll be held accountable for their management or mismanagement of the fund. There are other issues. I think the moderator said we should have lunch, so there are other issues there that we can touch upon. Reservations, yes, in terms of, there are those states that had reservations throughout the process of the negotiation of the Kampala Convention. And I think some of them still remain reserved, to that effect. But during the time that I went round as Special Rapporteur and I was looking into implementation and issues, a number of issues came up. But first of all, the reservations arise from, as I say, the technical people. It's the lawyers in the Attorney General's legal advisors to the government who say, we don't understand this, what does it mean? Therefore, this is not clear for us, the implication, and we shouldn't move ahead. Key in relation to these is the issue of development-induced displacement. Quite a number of states are reserved on that. And yet, if you looked at Article 10 and the way it's phrased, it was phrased very carefully to reflect the consensus that came out, which includes environmental risk assessment and making sure that private actors, as well as states, conform to the requirements of development-induced displacement. And it's a modern approach in that sense. The second aspect is compensation and reparation. Some states, again, are uncomfortable about that. And yet, as I went round, I pointed out, but your constitutions, the Bills of Rights, have provisions on compensation at national law. which if you apply them, then you don't need to apply the Kampala Convention. But they look at the Kampala Convention and say, yeah, compensation, reparation. The Great Lakes protocols have compensation and reparation. And the provisions on compensation and reparation came from Uganda and Rwanda. They were the key supporters of those provisions. And within the negotiations, they made sure that they went through. More fundamental is the accountability of armed forces, of states, if they commit international crimes. And some states were uneasy about having the responsibility of armed groups in a convention that is meant for states in terms of obligations. But the inclusion of non-state actors, such as armed groups, in this kind of convention is a modern way of treaty-making, because if you don't discharge your obligations in terms of the non-state actors and they're not held accountable, then states become responsible for the acts and activities of non-state actors. That was the major theme behind that particular aspect. So in terms of years going forward and mopping, the convention has provisions on states parties and the states parties conference. So it's in the hands of state parties to meet, review the progress, and if there are amendments that they want to put forward, they can do so. But the first of these was actually held in Harare. I think it was 2017, 2018, and it was a gathering that went through the convention. So I suggest that the next one, those that have proposals and suggestions would probably use that channel. But it's also a channel that is available to the states parties that have ratified the convention, because they are the ones whose interests are affected, and others would have to be observers of some sort, but participate in the way that the African Union allows its member states to participate. So that was an inbuilt process to review the problems, see how the convention can be adjusted if need be, because it was realized that it was the first instrument of its kind. Issues and problems are bound to arise. The last comment, the Gambia, and here is just one sentence in terms of young people leaving the country and falling, the continent countries, and falling prey to trafficking and smuggling. When I have spoken to young people, the one answer that comes out is that there is a trust deficit between them and their governments. That is the issue you have to address. They don't trust their governments to look after them in terms of their future, their success. So when you speak to people in Niger who have been repatriated from Libya, or Rwanda for that matter, when we're in Rwanda, we spoke to the people who are at the settlement, and they said, we don't see our future in this continent as young people. Today we may have peace, tomorrow war breaks out. So we want to be able to go to countries where we can rebuild our lives and have the confidence that in future our lives are not going to be affected by conflict or violence and the like. And I think that's a key message from them, and a message that the member states have to look at themselves. How do you build trust and confidence in the young people to stay and not to go? What do you need to address in order to reverse that? That's the question. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Je voudrais vraiment remercier les pays, l'ambassadeur pour le travail qui est fait pour accueillir ces personnes qui n'ont rien demandé, tout s'est imposé à eux, et également lancer un appel pour plus de soutien, plus de solidarité, pour soulager les pays qui ont ce fardeau des réfugiés et des personnes voir comment on peut gérer cela pour permettre à tout le monde de faire partie de la convention de Kampala. Et vous avez dit quelque chose, monsieur l'ambassadeur, combattre la corruption. Et on l'a, depuis quelques jours, on le dit. Il faut trouver des solutions. Les chefs d'État et de gouvernement ont réfléchi en 2018 et je félicite et je souhaite la bienvenue au président du Conseil consultatif de l'Union africaine qui a en charge cette question de la corruption. Il y a une déclaration adoptée avec un plan d'action, avec des activités à mener pour essayer de trouver une solution à cette gangrène appelée corruption. Mais il n'y a pas que l'Afrique. D'autres pays aussi, de grands pays aussi, paient les frais de cette corruption. Malheureusement, sur le continent, lorsque ces grandes firmes arrivent ici, c'est avec notre complicité qu'on continue à étendre ce fléau au ne pas brader nos ressources au profit de quelques individus. Je pense que nous allons essayer de créer des emplois. Lorsque je regarde nos économies, la plupart de nos pays, on parle de croissance. Cette croissance, moi, je ne sens pas ça dans mon plat. C'est là une difficulté. Il faut qu'on travaille justement pour éviter l'exclusion sociale, plus d'opportunités et une bonne gestion de nos ressources. Et l'Union africaine n'est pas quand même restée les bras croisés. On a tout comité technique spécialisé qui a en charge cette question des migrations. Nous soutenons un autre département qui réfléchit sur cette question. Il y a un travail formidable qui est en train d'être fait. On en parlait, on a pu ramener plus de 40 000 personnes de certains pays africains et le Rwanda que je félicite. Et c'est un exemple aussi à celui qui a accepté d'accueillir ces personnes. Mais j'étais un peu découragé lorsque mon frère, l'ambassadeur de Guinée équatoriale, me dit avoir visité ces personnes au Rwanda qui disent non, mon salut, ça sera de prendre la mer et repartir. Il y a quand même un problème. Il faut qu'on s'asseye ensemble pour réfléchir, pour trouver les causes profondes. Nous les connaissons, mais maintenant aller vers les solutions pour éviter justement que nos jeunes se retrouvent sur le chemin de l'exil au péril de leur vie. Et vraiment, saluer ma soeur pour son témoignage. Elle est une survivante, une victime de cette situation. Je crois que nous aurons besoin aussi de son expérience pour aider à sensibiliser d'autres jeunes et à éviter que ces jeunes se retrouvent dans des situations difficiles. Parfois, c'est un leurre. Ils se retrouvent dans ces pays, ces grands pays où il n'y a pas d'opportunité pour eux. Ils sont victimes de toutes sortes de situations. Et lorsque je regarde certains pays où nos jeunes même, de manière plus organisée, se retrouvent dans certains pays, j'ai eu froid lorsqu'on m'a dit que ces femmes, particulièrement ces filles, sont utilisées pour le trafic d'organes humains. C'est la catastrophe. Donc il faut vraiment réfléchir sur cette problématique et ensemble on pourra trouver une solution à la problématique des migrations sur le continent africain, et avec nos partenaires que je remercie, dont l'OIM, l'Union européenne, qui nous aide justement à trouver une solution aux questions de migration en dehors du continent, et également dire que l'Afrique est un continent de migration, on tourne à l'intérieur, et aussi encourager nos partenaires aussi c'est parce qu'il y a des caméras, on voit que eux c'est leur priorité, mais nous disons aidez-nous aussi à bâtir la résilience des populations avec des projets porteurs, bien sûr, en comptant d'abord sur nous-mêmes des solutions africaines aux problèmes africains. Voilà le commentaire que je voulais faire sur ces différentes réactions de la part des participants. Merci. Et nous allons continuer, comme vous l'avez dit, en dehors de ce panel, à discuter sur toutes ces questions. Merci.
Thank you very much, my colleagues, for such wonderful presentations. I will be very brief, really, but I want to attempt to advise my brother Teg from South Sudan on what should be done to eradicate or minimize the occurrence of corruption as a vice in that part of Africa. One, we need a vibrant and competent ombudsman's office. Three, the president the other day, when he was addressing Ugandans on the walk about corruption, he said it was not enough to to bring on board or in offices civil servants based on their qualifications per se. It is one thing for somebody to be qualified, but another thing altogether to be competent, to be honest, to be a person of integrity. And therefore, his appeal to the Service Commission, to the Public Service Commission, that we need to spice and blend competency with integrity, honesty, and commitment. Meaning that there is need to do due diligence on each and every employee that we are bringing on board into the service, either UNHCR or whatever, or government, to mention but a few. But also, we need to have frequent monitoring and auditing of our books of accounts. We need to have stringent financial management systems, policies, guidelines, and protocols. We also need to ensure that we do capacity building regularly to our staff, but most important also police and the other entities that are supposed to carry out services, as far as reduction and mitigation of corruption tendencies within the public, must build themselves and also have competent people to handle such issues as far as fighting corruption and ensuring financial management integrity is concerned. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you very much to the panel and also to you, the audience, for listening and also participating in this conversation. And that brings us to the end of it. For now, I hand you back to the moderator.
We thank the moderator as well. Thank you very much.
Let's give the panel another round of applause, please. Thank you, thank you. And the moderator for a job well done, please. Thank you so much, thank you so much. We will move ahead with our program. We will move straight ahead. We are behind schedule a little, so we'll have to hasten the process a bit. We're going to move into the next segment, of our program, unveiling of the winner of the 2019 Humanitarian Innovation Award. That's the next segment of our program. Just to indicate that the African Union Commission, through the Department of Political Affairs, jointly with GIZ, have joined with GIZ, launched a program or a project on African solutions to African humanitarian challenges that Ambassador of Sahrawi referred to also in his intervention. Then we opened the project for proposals to African citizens to apply, and we got 170 applications or submissions. And after that, we then undertook a short listing of the submissions. 6 groups were involved, and these 6 groups were then taken to Nairobi, Kenya, for training for 1 week. Out of the 6 group, a company organization called We Connect actually. I think it's We Connect. Am I correct? We Connect. What is the right name of this company? We Connect. Right? Yes. It emerged the winners. Can we give them a round of applause, please? They emerged the winners of this award. It's therefore my pleasure and honor to invite Mr. Joseph Molabi to come upstage to share with us briefly, very briefly, because we're behind schedule, please. Very briefly, his idea of this award. Is he in the room? Can he step forward, please? Mr. Joseph Molabi.
I greet you all, ladies and gentlemen, in your different capacities. My name is Joseph Mulabi, the founder and CEO of WeConnect mobile platform. I'm not alone because we're a team. Right here, I have my teammates. Please welcome them. I'm going to be brief, but before I share with you what we are doing, I would like to share with you a simple story that we were also told about refugees and internally displaced persons in Uganda. During our research study among the victims of war from northern Uganda, we met a young lady named Helen, a refugee living currently in Kampala, and she shared with us a sorrowful story that inspired us to come up with a durable solution that we believe is going to change, to transform and empower the lives of refugees, especially young women and girls in Uganda and Africa as a whole, towards their easy integration, but also towards their social and economic empowerment and development. Here is a story that Helen shared with us, seated with her in a round circle. Helen told us that in 2000, the Lord's Resistance Army led by Joseph Kony attacked their villages in northern Uganda and massacred, raped, and abducted hundreds of young women, girls, and children. The Ugandan government, unable to stop the rebels, required the people of northern Uganda to flee their villages to the internally displaced persons camps that they had come up with. These camps were created for safety of the people, but unfortunately, disease, hunger, disempowerment for the girl child, and sexual violence against young women and girls were the order of the day. Helen says in the ID camps, she had a friend, a 17-year-old friend named Ruth, who on a particular evening was attacked, raped, and was left infected with HIV/AIDS and eventually got pregnant. Young and naive, Helen and her friend Ruth had no idea about sex and pregnancy. They didn't know anyone to call. They did not know where to access contraception, and even access to services like prenatal care and birthing methods was close to impossible. In refugee camps, everyone minds about their own businesses. Therefore, Ruth tells us that when her friend's pregnancy was due for delivery, Ruth disappeared for about 2 days and her whereabouts could not be traced. At about 5:30 p.m. the following day, of Ruth's disappearance, a young boy came running to Helen and told her about her friend Ruth, whom he had met in an abandoned structure in a pool of blood. And therefore he came in to call Helen to go and help her friend Ruth. On reaching the scene, Helen and her mom were shocked at the sight of Ruth because she was lying helpless and unconscious in a pool of blood. Helen's mom tried to help her, but she could not do much. Therefore, they borrowed a nearby bike, tried to rush this young girl to a health center, which was about 15 kilometers away from the camp. But on reaching the health center, Ruth lost her baby. And eventually, after a period of 5 years, Ruth also died. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not then, but even today, in refugee camps, young women and girls face numerous power imbalances that are characterized by rape, sexual abuse, economic disempowerment. But since in this convention we are coming up with durable solutions, we believe that there is a role we can play towards the social and economic development of young women and girls, including men as a whole. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we come with a solution to the problems that our target people, the refugees, especially young women and girls, are facing. We come to you with a platform that we've called We Connect. It is going to be a platform that will link refugee girls, refugee women, and their service providers, because we believe that there are several service providers who are already playing different roles in these places, but refugees do not have access to them. Therefore, we want to link these people to these service providers so that in case they got a problem, they know the button to press, they know the call to make. In turn, service providers will have a targeted community with a targeted service, and it will save them time and money. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope to start with Nachival, which is hosting about 100,000+ refugees, because we believe that by starting with them, they already have a big ownership of funds, and therefore we're going to help them, but the platform will be basically designed for scalability. The pilot will take place in Uganda. We shall scale to different refugee camps, but eventually we shall be able to scale to different communities on the African soils. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I think they deserve a round of applause. They deserve a round of applause. Excellent. So I think you now have an idea why and how they won the award. We congratulate you. We will proceed ahead, and I'll now call on, with all due respect, humbly, let me call on the Commissioner for Political Affairs. Your Excellency, please, upstage. And let me call on the Ambassador of Equatorial Guinea, representing the champion for the theme of the year. Let me call on my brother, representing the GIZ, Dr. Hilbert, please. If, Excellency, if you could, up here, right? Rita, please, up here, right? Yeah, to hand over the award. The price of the award, ladies and gentlemen, is 20,000 euros. Let's congratulate them. It's 20,000 euros, which they are being given to develop their idea as an African solution to African humanitarian problems. And I will ask, therefore, is there a roving mic here? I'll ask the Commissioner and the champion, the Ambassador representing the champion, and the rep of, yes, please, give me the, yes, representing Your Excellency, the Commissioner, my brother, come this side, yes, 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 you will, the three of you will hold that, yeah, yes, yes, and the cameras will do their work, and I'll then invite Mr. Joseph, if it's you or you designate, but you come, and you will receive the award. Please. You receive the award? Yes, yes. That's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. And then after that, you will, no, don't go away. You keep, don't go too fast, come. Yes, then you will greet the Commissioner, the three of them, one at a time, while holding, exactly, yes. Please, absolutely, absolutely. There we go. There we go. Excellent. Round of applause, please. We congratulate the winners, Joseph and your team. Well done. And let's give a round of applause to our representatives, Your Excellency the Commissioner, Your Excellency the Ambassador, my brother, Dr. Hilbert, for the job well done. We really appreciate our partnership with GIZ, and we confirm, reaffirm our commitment, deepening this partnership. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I can use this one now. Eh? What did you want? Okay. We move forward. You know, the reason is that I'm juggling with a lot of documents I need to read for each segment. And the problem with reading documents is that in one meeting, one high-level government official, I think it was a minister, was given a speech to read. And the person who had drafted the speech was trying to advise the minister so that minister do this and this and that. Now, instead of doing the speech, in the middle of the speech, remove your glasses and look straight at the audience. So, so when he reached there, then he remove their glasses, move straight to the audience. So be careful when you read speeches. We will move, Excellencies, to the next segment. The next segment of our program is the presentation. I don't have glasses. I don't have glasses. Okay, it's the report, right? The IDM report, I think. We're doing the IDM report. The IDMC report.
Of our report. This is the third version of our Africa report, and I'm really pleased to be here today. So without further ado, let me get into some figures. So next slide, please. What you see in this map is internal displacement associated with conflict and violence across Africa last year. These are figures from 2018. We are in the process of aggregating and validating figures for 2019, and of course the year hasn't finished yet. But what you see is that internal displacement manifests in very different ways across this region. Many countries are being affected by displacement associated with conflict and violence, which is what you see in orange. Others are affected by displacement associated with disaster and climate hazards. Some countries, as you can see also in these charts, for example, Somalia, Nigeria, Niger, are affected by both conflict and disaster displacement. And the overall figure for last year was 10.1 million new displacement during 2018, and preliminary figures for 2019 point at these trends continuing. Next slide, please. But before I continue with statistics, I would like to remind ourselves that behind these figures lie the lives of millions that in a way or another have been disrupted by internal displacement. So we really need to put people at the center and remind ourselves that there is a human face of displacement and that many of the IDPs across the region and also globally are facing dire conditions and lack of humanitarian assistance, access to basic services, and education. So I would also encourage you to think about behind these figures, there are human faces. Now, looking at important share of the global total. Of course, it is to say Africa is a big region, very diverse region, and many countries are in this region. So, of course, it accounts for more. But as you can see also, displacement is increasing. So this also is a call for all of us to think about addressing this issue and scale up the implementation of the Kampala Convention. Next slide, please. But it's not only, so the previous figure showed the number of newly displaced people year after year, but what you see in this map is the total historical aggregate as of the end of this year. So this is a different metric that shows the number of people, individuals, that have been identified as living in internal displacement as of the end of last year, and the figure for Africa was of 16.8 million people. This is the highest figure ever recorded in the continent, and also last year globally, there were 41.3 million. So 40% of this, globally, so 40% of the global figure took place in Africa. So this is considerably worrying, and something that I would like to point out regarding this figure is that these are conservative estimates, and that as IDMC, we aggregate the data that we obtain from the ground. And something that is worrying is the issue of capturing returns, because many people are being reported as returned, or sometimes forcibly returned, and they are returning into conditions of internal displacement. So returning does not necessarily mean an end to displacement, sorry. Yes, I'm actually a couple of slides more. Regarding disasters, I think that this figure is pretty important and interesting, because as you can see, this is the decade information, and what you can see is that the impact of climate change is evident in the continent. Around 85% of the new displacement have been triggered by floods, followed by drought. And this 8% of drought only considers few countries, and only since 2017. So this remains an underreported hazard, so we definitely need to scale up efforts to address this issue. Please, next slide. Now, as you can see, Africa saw this year high amounts of displaced because of cyclones Idai and Kenneth in southern Africa, current displacement in East Africa and West Africa. So figures for this year may be even higher. Next, please. But not all is bad news. I wanted to really emphasize that not all is bad news. This data is worrying, concerning, but also I wanted to highlight that Africa is well equipped to address displacement. The Kampala Convention is gaining new momentum, especially since a year ago. We've been seeing more and more efforts at the policy level, led by governments, to really implement the convention and address this issue. A year ago, Niger implemented its law on internal displacement, domesticating the convention. As we speak, Ethiopia is launching its Durable Solutions Initiative. Somalia also has a Durable Solutions Unit. Equatorial Guinea recently ratified the convention. Things are moving, and there is a lot of promising developments that should be reinforced and continued. Next, please. Now, I'm not going to detail this. This is in the report, so you're going to read it, but I just wanted to touch on 4 key issues that we consider should be thought about for the region. The first one is better assessing displacement associated with drought. Also, how displacement unfolds in the context of urbanization. What is the relation between internal displacement and cross-border movements? And also, what are the economic impacts of displacements? IDPs, host communities, local governments, we need to unpack what are the implications. Next slide, please. This is my last call, my last slide, that is really to strengthen the evidence base. Basically, many of you have heard that we cannot govern what we cannot measure. And as IDMC, we struggle to obtain figures at the global level and national level on displacement. We struggle to obtain figures on drought and other slow onset phenomena. Sometimes it's difficult to capture small-scale displacement, localized disasters, etc. Also, obtaining data on hard-to-reach areas, and determining for how long people remain displaced. So these gaps need urgent addressing, and we really call for everyone to strengthen 3 main pillars as we move forward in the implementation of the Kampala Convention. The first one would be really to strengthen the knowledge base, our understanding and capturing of this phenomenon. Second, to strengthen capacity across all levels of governance. And third, to continue reinforcing the political commitment to address forced displacement across the continent. So with that, I'll leave it with you. Just so you know, This report is, as we speak, being translated into French too. This will take a couple of weeks, but by mid-January, you will also have the report in French. So thank you very much, and it was a pleasure for me to share these findings, and I highly encourage you to read the report. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vincent Anzeleni. I can see a hand here. Egypt, please.
Thank you. Actually, I have a reservation on this report and on presenting this report. It contains actually figures and things. I never heard that there is a conflict in Egypt. So mentioning a conflict in Egypt on the map, this is unacceptable for me.
Okay.
This is one.
Okay.
Two, the report contains a figure about 97,000 IDPs in Egypt. I don't know from where this figure, I never heard about a figure like that, and 15,000 in 2018. I don't know from where, this is inaccurate. The African Union is an intergovernmental organization, and I expect that the Commission consult with member states before providing tribute for centers to present ideas and information about that. Please, I want this to be rectified, and I want this report to be not to be disseminated through the African Union umbrella. So this is my reservation and a point of order that I want to make it clear. And this report is rejected for us, and we don't accept whatever is contained. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Egypt. I think point taken, and I'm sure the representative of the IDMC has taken note of the points raised. We will have to readjust a little bit because our guest of honor is here with us, and therefore we will have to make sure that we get into the next segment of our program, closing the high-level dialogue, and then we'll finish the rest of the program after he has done that, so that he can attend to other urgent national issues of national importance. Without any further ado, let me call on the ambassador, Your Excellency, the ambassador of Uganda to Ethiopia and the permanent representative to African Union, UNCA, to come and introduce our guest of honor. Your Excellency.
The Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, the Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency, the Minister of Bunyoro Affairs, Honorable Ernest Kiza, my sister Mamata, the Commissioner Political Affairs. Right Honorable, I'm just here to briefly let you know that we've been here at a high-level meeting and it was well attended. I would just tell you that amongst us we have the ministers who represented their countries. We have my colleagues, the ambassadors and PRs at the African Union. We have the member states represented. We have the academia. We have the UN agencies, UNHCR, UN OCHA, and the rest who have supported us in what we're doing. Your Excellency, we have the NGOs, the CSOs, and the media houses. We have the members of the REX and also the AU institutions. I would just briefly say that I feel honored as Uganda that we were chosen to host this again to commemorate the 10th anniversary the call to take care of people who are vulnerable, like refugees and IDPs. This is also the theme of the year, and therefore we needed to have this before 2020, that we'll now have another theme of the year declared by the heads of state and government. That would be silencing the gun. We are honored to have the representative of the champion of the theme of the year, and that is His Excellency President Obiang. The ambassador and PR is here to represent him. Few days to come, he will be in Uganda, and he has said he wants to speak to the world from the resettlement area to show them what we are doing. We want to thank the President for delegating a high-level person to come and be with us. In our country, we have the President as the head of state, we have the Vice President, we have the Speaker, we have the Chief Justice, and the Deputy Speaker of Parliament. He's just number 5 in our country, and we would like to say thank you for honoring this invitation. Right Honorable, as the head of delegation of EU-ACP Joint Parliamentary Sitting, our head of delegation, we know what you've been doing about the refugees and other vulnerable people. I know your passion about the suffering refugees. I know your passion, which is practical, to bringing solution. I would like to report to you that we've had very rich and quality representation and presentation by the panelists and the participants. We've also heard from the media houses. We had Mangusho, and today we had Karunji, who have also supported us, and others from other media houses. May I, with great humility and honor, sir, invite Honorable Ernest Kiza to come and invite you, or to come and to come. I don't know how to do it, because I wanted you to speak, then the commissioner will speak before the speaker can come. I want you to invite to come here to speak before the commissioner. I want the commissioner to speak immediately before the speaker, so you can come. Thank you. So you invite her.
Okay. She's the honorable. Thank you very much, Honorable Tengo. The Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, the Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors who are here, participants. First of all, Right Honorable, I've already spoken to these people. This morning, I addressed this meeting and opened it, so I wouldn't want to take much time, since I know you are hard up with time. I'll just take this singular honor to invite her to speak, and thereafter invite you to deliver your address. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. As the Commissioner is coming to the podium, can I also invite the Ambassador of Equatorial Guinea to come to the podium, please, to the high table. Excellency. Excellency, please. Excellency, yes. Okay. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a slight adjustment. We will have the Ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Obama from Equatorial Guinea to come first before the Commissioner. Ambassador, represented the champion of the theme of the year. Ambassador.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur le directeur. Honorable ministre Ernest Kiza, Excellence Madame Minata Samate Sessouma, commissaire aux affaires politiques de l'Union africaine, Excellence Madame la présidente du sous-comité du COREP sur les réfugiés, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs, représentants des pays membres de l'Union africaine, distingués représentants des organisations internationales, sociétés civiles, chercheurs et secteurs privés. Mesdames et Messieurs, malgré que nous sommes ici dans le contexte des réfugiés, je voulais profiter d'exprimer d'abord mes sentiments de sympathie envers les familles des migrants morts le passé 4 décembre au long du naufrage d'une embarcation au large de la côte de Mauritanie, en faisant mort actuellement, le récemment indique environ 62 morts. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, au terme de ce dialogue de haut niveau, permettez-moi de vous exprimer quelques mots avant la clôture officielle par le représentant du gouvernement de l'Ouganda. Je suis bien honoré de représenter mon pays, la République de Guinée équatoriale, ici, dans ce dialogue de haut niveau, et de prendre la parole à la clôture de cette réunion qui coïncide avec la commémoration de la 10e anniversaire de la Convention du Kampala. Et je tiens tout d'abord à remercier le gouvernement et le peuple frère d'Ouganda d'avoir accueilli cette importante réunion dans ces beaux cadres. Je tiens à remercier aussi la Commission de l'Union africaine pour l'organisation de cette magnifique activité et surtout pour l'agenda bien condensé établi, ainsi que pour le choix bien précis des experts pour animer et orienter de manière stratégique les différents panels. Mes remerciements vont également à tous les États membres ainsi qu'à tous les participants venus des différents pays d'Afrique et du monde entier pour leur participation active dans les travaux de ces dialogues de haut niveau. Il faut souligner que ces dialogues nous donnent l'opportunité, une fois de plus, de réfléchir de manière claire et constructive sur les différentes questions liées aux réfugiés, des rapatriés, des personnes déplacées internes, vers des solutions durables au déplacement forcé en Afrique. Nous avons traité de beaucoup de questions vraiment intéressantes. Nous avons parlé des causes profondes, inhérentes et structurelles économiques et ses orientations politico-institutionnelles. Nous avons débattu sur la mise en œuvre des solutions durables de déplacement forcé en Afrique, les défis, les perspectives et les moyens de préserver de meilleures pratiques en matière de retour, d'installation ou d'intégration locale. Les droits des réfugiés, des personnes déplacées à l'intérieur du propre pays, et des réflexions critiques sur l'efficacité des régimes de protection, de promotion des droits de l'homme, en mettant en accent sur les réfugiés, les personnes déplacées à l'intérieur de leur propre pays et les rapatriés. Les besoins d'élaboration de politiques, de stratégies propres, africaines et de programmes spécifiques selon les contextes nationaux en vue d'une transformation socio-économique et la bonne gouvernance pour la promotion de la paix durable, la justice, la réconciliation, la cohésion sociale dans nos continents. La répartition de la charte, la responsabilisation et le rôle des différents acteurs a été aussi souligné pour faciliter les discussions sur le renouveau de l'esprit panafricain ou l'institutionnalisation du concept panafricaniste, de telle manière que les valeurs qui unissent les Africaines peuvent être capitalisées, en fait en sorte que les réfugiés les personnes déplacées, les rapatriés reçoivent l'assistance et la protection nécessaires, soit dans les pays d'origine que dans les pays d'accueil, dans tout notre continent. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, laissez-moi vous dire que vous avez tous été actifs tout au long de cette réunion. Le niveau d'élevé des débats et la qualité des interventions et des argumentations au cours de cette réunion témoignent de l'intérêt que réserve le peuple africain à la question de déplacement des populations, mais aussi de l'engagement de nos États membres et de chaque participant pour soutenir le travail de l'Union africaine et du champion du thème de l'année dans leur effort de promouvoir la paix, la prospérité et la protection des droits des populations de nos États et dans l'Afrique tout entière. L'année 2019 marque le 50e anniversaire de la Convention de l'OUA sur les réfugiés et naturellement le 10e anniversaire de la Convention sur la protection et l'assistance des personnes déplacées internes en Afrique, Convention de Kampala. Et donc, c'est l'année des actions concrètes pour des résultats tangibles et durables. C'est le souhait du champion du thème de l'année. Pour cela, il convient de rappeler que les chefs d'État et le gouvernement de l'Union africaine ont appelé les États membres de l'Union africaine à signer, à ratifier, à mettre en œuvre ces deux conventions de manière urgente. Et je voudrais réitérer cet appel important dans cette cérémonie de la clôture, au nom du champion du thème de l'année, son Excellence Obiang Nguema Mbazogo, et encourager tous les États membres de l'Union africaine à prendre des mesures immédiates. Pour les champions du thème de l'année 2019, si nous voulons réussir dans notre travail et trouver des solutions durables pour les personnes déplacées, nous devons aussi les placer au centre de nos politiques continentales et les impliquer dans la recherche des solutions durables. Et pour cela, nous sommes sincèrement reconnaissants d'avoir constaté une participation active et proactive de tous les réfugiés, répatriés, personnes déplacées, internées pendant nos travaux de ce dialogue de haut niveau. Ces réunions de haut niveau fait précisément partie d'une série d'événements du thème de l'année de l'Union africaine qui offre également un moment opportun pour donner une visibilité mondiale au déplacement forcé en Afrique. L'Union africaine est non seulement l'expression de notre volonté commune de vivre ensemble et appartenir à un même destin, et aussi l'incarnation de nos aspirations à un continent intégré et prospère dans lequel nos populations jouissent dignement de la protection, de la paix, de la sécurité et du développement. C'est sur cette base de ce postulat que le champion du thème de l'année, son Excellence Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbazogo, président de la République de Guinée équatoriale, qui aurait bien voulu participer en personne à ce dialogue de haut niveau et commémorer ensemble avec vous le 10e anniversaire de la Convention de Kampala, s'est toujours engagé pour la défense et la protection des droits sociaux et économiques du peuple africain, ainsi que pour la paix et le développement en Afrique. L'accroissement du nombre de personnes déplacées en Afrique, le nombre inquiétant de jeunes portant espoir de l'Afrique de demain, qui sont touchés par ces phénomènes inquiétants, grandement les champions, inquiètent grandement les champions du thème de l'année. C'est bien pourquoi il s'était investir pour la scolarisation des personnes réfugiées qui a rencontré lors de sa visite humanitaire près d'Assosa en Éthiopie. Il s'agit pour lui d'une action noble qui lui tient au cœur. Et pour finir, en ces jours de commémoration de la Convention de Kampala, je tiens à réitérer la solidarité du champion du thème de l'année, son Excellence Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbazogo, aux personnes déplacées d'Afrique et du monde entier. Et l'engagement du gouvernement de la République de Guinée équatoriale de soutenir avec l'esprit et les principes de solidarité panafricaine toutes les activités futures visant à établir un lien solide entre le thème de l'année 2019 de l'Union africaine et le thème de l'année de l'Union africaine 2020 sur fait taire des armes en Afrique. Que Dieu protège et bénisse l'Afrique. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Excellency the Ambassador. We will now call on Her Excellency the Commissioner for Political Affairs to come and deliver her closing statement. Just to announce, Excellencies, that the AU envoy, Aya Shebi, is not well, so she won't be with us. We wish her a speedy recovery. Excellency, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le modérateur, directeur Kabele. Honorable Oulania Jacob Lokori, vice-président du Parlement de la République d'Ouganda. Excellence, Mesdames, je ne pense pas qu'on ait une dame ministre dans la salle. Monsieur le ministre, chers frères, merci beaucoup. Excellence Madame Rebecca, présidente du sous-comité du COREP sur les réfugiés, les personnes déplacées et les rapatriés. Excellence et cher frère Ondo Christian Obama, ambassadeur et représentant permanent de la République de Guinée équatoriale en Éthiopie, représentant permanent auprès de l'Union africaine et surtout représentant son Excellence Monsieur le Président de la République de Guinée équatoriale, champion du thème de l'année 2019, son Excellence Obiangema Mbazogo. Excellence, Messieurs les ambassadeurs, membres du sous-comité sur la question des réfugiés et membres aussi du COREP, merci pour votre présence. Cher frère Chanda Cosmos, représentant permanent du HCR auprès de l'Union africaine, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des agences des Nations Unies et autres organisations internationales, chers partenaires, chers panélistes, représentants des États membres et également des organisations de la société civile, merci beaucoup à vous. Merci pour cet engagement que nous avons pris depuis le 2 décembre 2019. Excellence, Monsieur le vice-président, je ne reviendrai pas sur ce que mon frère Obama a dit sur les conclusions. Depuis le 2 décembre 2019, nous avons échangé, nous avons partagé, nous avons écouté, nous avons discuté, nous avons fait des recommandations sur le thème de l'année. Je ne reviendrai pas là-dessus. Je voudrais me focaliser surtout sur la commémoration de la Convention de Kampala. Mon frère Obama l'a déjà dit. Il y a eu de très belles discussions avec de très bonnes propositions et recommandations et nous allons faire rapport au COREP, au Conseil exécutif et à la conférence des chefs d'État et de gouvernement. Au moment où nous nous apprêtons à commémorer la Convention de Kampala, Excellence, Monsieur le Vice-président, je voudrais, avec votre autorisation, que nous observions une minute de silence. Une minute de silence, vous allez me demander pourquoi, parce que nous avons Patrick Tigere qui est du Zimbabwe. Patrick était le chef de la division humanitaire du département dont j'ai la charge aujourd'hui, le département des affaires politiques. Patrick a contribué à la vision et au processus ayant abouti à la Convention de Kampala. Il a négocié avec les États membres, ce qui nous a permis d'adopter la Convention de Kampala. Il nous a malheureusement quittés et je tiens à lui rendre hommage pour cet engagement qu'il a eu. Et au moment où nous commémorons cet important événement, je vous demande de lui rendre hommage à travers la minute de silence pour sa contribution à cet important document. S'il vous plaît. Je vous remercie. Et qu'Allah, le miséricordieux, l'accueille dans son royaume et paix à son âme. Monsieur le vice-président du Parlement, mesdames et messieurs, distinguées personnalités, aujourd'hui, ce 6 décembre 2019 est un grand jour. Un grand jour, pourquoi? Parce que c'est un grand jour pour les gouvernements africains qui ont la responsabilité de protéger, d'apporter une assistance, de faciliter la recherche de solutions durables aux déplacements forcés sur le continent. Ce 6 décembre est un grand jour également pour les organisations internationales, les agences humanitaires qui ont l'obligation également, au terme de la Convention et d'autres instruments internationaux, de travailler pour protéger justement et apporter assistance aux personnes déplacées, aux réfugiés et autres rapatriés sur le continent africain. Ce 6 décembre est un grand jour aussi pour l'Union africaine que je représente et également la Commission et l'ensemble même de l'Union africaine, tous les organes, parce que la responsabilité première justement de l'Union africaine à travers la prévention et l'accompagnement de ses États membres dans la recherche de solutions durables aux déplacements forcés sur le continent africain. L'Union africaine a l'obligation de soutenir les efforts de protection et d'assistance aux personnes déplacées. Le 6 décembre est également important pour les organisations de la société civile, pour nos partenaires qui nous accompagnent dans ce travail. Et également pour les personnes déplacées elles-mêmes et les réfugiés. On a eu l'occasion, Excellence, d'écouter beaucoup de personnes réfugiées, y compris certaines personnes vivant ici en Ouganda. Nous avons appris d'eux. Nous avons travaillé avec eux, nous avons pris une bonne note de leurs préoccupations. C'est tout à fait normal puisqu'ils vivent cette situation, nous les avons écoutés et ce jour est aussi important pour eux. Le 6 décembre est également important pour la communauté des défenseurs des droits de l'homme et particulièrement ceux qui défendent les droits des personnes déplacées. Et également, je dirais, ce 6 décembre est une date importante même pour l'ensemble des citoyens et des citoyennes du continent africain. Nous commémorons aujourd'hui le 10e anniversaire de l'entrée en vigueur de la Convention de Kampala sur la protection et l'assistance aux personnes déplacées en Afrique. Nous sommes réunis ici à Kampala. Excellence, ce n'est pas le fait du hasard, parce que Kampala est une capitale, pas uniquement de la République d'Ouganda, mais une capitale pour nous aussi, à travers ce qui est fait pour soulager les souffrances des victimes de déplacements forcés. Et pour marquer, quoi de plus normal pour marquer cet anniversaire de se retrouver ici à Kampala. Et lorsque vous parlez de la convention de l'Union africaine, blablabla, cette convention est connue sous le label, le nom de Convention de Kampala. Et c'est tout à fait normal qu'on puisse nous retrouver ici. Il s'agit pour nous, Excellence, Monsieur le Vice-président, de rendre hommage à la République d'Ouganda, qui est le plus grand pays d'accueil de réfugiés en Afrique et je dirais aussi dans le monde. Cette généreuse politique d'accueil garantie, et mon frère le commissaire l'a dit, il n'est pas dans la salle, il l'a dit, la République d'Ouganda garantit la libre circulation des personnes, les réfugiés ici, leur accès à l'éducation à l'emploi, à la santé, bref, les citoyens africains, réfugiés et personnes déplacées qui vivent dans votre pays, Excellence, ont les mêmes droits que les Ougandais. C'est une politique qui est très rare. Et je vous demande, Excellence, d'être notre interprète auprès des plus hautes autorités de la République d'Ouganda, son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République, pour lui témoigner, pour lui parler de notre reconnaissance, la reconnaissance du continent pour cette politique unique au monde et au peuple ougandais également pour son hospitalité, pour sa générosité et surtout pour l'acceptation de son prochain. Je partagerai, Excellence, cette expérience avec d'autres pays africains. Je vous demande d'acclamer, d'applaudir les autorités ougandaises pour cette brillante politique en faveur des citoyens africains. Mesdames et messieurs, il y a 10 ans, un certain mois d'octobre 2009, les chefs d'État et de gouvernement de l'Union africaine, conscients de la gravité de la situation des personnes déplacées qui constitue une source d'instabilité et de tension continuelle pour les États africains. Également conscients de la souffrance et de la vulnérabilité spécifique des personnes se sont réunis ici dans cette belle capitale ougandaise, Kampala, lors d'un sommet spécial pour adopter un instrument juridique unique contraignant pour la protection et l'assistance aux personnes déplacées internes en Afrique. Cet important document est le témoignage de leur volonté, la volonté des chefs d'État et de gouvernement de ne ménager aucun effort pour mettre fin au phénomène du déplacement forcé sur le continent africain. La Convention de Kampala a vocation à assurer une protection juridique, une assistance à des millions de personnes qui sont déplacées au sein du continent africain, qui sont déplacées à l'intérieur de leur propre pays. C'est une importante convention qui engage les États partis à s'attaquer aux causes profondes. Et merci beaucoup à l'ambassadeur de Maurice et à ceux qui n'ont pas ratifié la convention, mais qui appliquent quand même les articles, le document de Kampala, même si ces États ne sont pas partis, et nous les encourageons à franchir le pas. Je ne reviendrai pas, on l'a tellement dit, Excellence, les causes profondes, c'est connu, les conflits, les attaques terroristes sur le continent, la mauvaise gouvernance et d'autres crises. Nous devons tous travailler pour trouver des solutions. La Convention de Kampala est un document, lorsque je discute avec les partenaires, qui est partagé avec la communauté internationale, salue cette convention qui a été très futuriste, je le disais le matin, parce qu'ayant anticipé sur certaines choses, les changements climatiques que nous avons aujourd'hui, il y a 10 ans, l'ampleur n'était pas à ce niveau. Et, mesdames et messieurs, une commémoration est toujours une occasion de nous rappeler les objectifs et surtout l'engagement et la volonté politique des dirigeants qui ont conduit à avoir cette importante convention. Une commémoration est également un engagement à réitérer cette volonté d'impulser une nouvelle dynamique pour apporter protection, sécurité et dignité aux victimes et surtout en ne perdant pas de vue la nécessité de bâtir la résilience des populations et y compris les populations qui accueillent ces personnes. C'est l'occasion également pour nous de rendre hommage, on ne le dira pas assez, de rendre hommage aux travailleurs humanitaires. Ces travailleurs humanitaires qui sont sur le terrain, les agences spécialisées des Nations Unies, le HCR qui est un partenaire privilégié, les organisations de la société civile et d'autres personnes qui ne cessent d'apporter réconfort aux populations affectées et parfois, malheureusement parfois, au péril de leur vie. Rien ne saurait expliquer qu'on puisse tuer quelqu'un qui travaille pour aider son prochain. Nous l'avons vu, la première fois j'ai été choqué, c'était en République du Soudan du Sud, où pendant notre visite avec le président Faki, des humanitaires ont été assassinés. C'est pas normal, il faut que nous travaillions tous à trouver une solution et surtout que les auteurs de ces actes soient vraiment punis. J'ai une pensée particulière pour les populations déplacées et les réfugiés qui font actuellement qui ont toujours fait face à des difficultés. Et aujourd'hui, une pensée vers les pays du Sahel, de nouvelles personnes déplacées du Sahel et des pays du bassin du lac Tchad, et également, malheureusement, des conflits intercommunautaires et des catastrophes naturelles. Chers participants, chères participantes, vous me permettrez de féliciter, nous l'avons dit, les pays qui ont ratifié cette convention et encourager à d'autres à franchir le pas. Je ne reviendrai pas sur ce que l'ambassadeur Obama a dit concernant tout ce qui a été fait durant toute l'année 2019 et les conclusions et autres recommandations feront l'objet d'un rapport au sommet des chefs d'État et de gouvernement. 10 ans, mesdames et messieurs, c'est certainement long, c'est important, mais 10 ans, beaucoup de travail a été fait et beaucoup reste à faire. Et je voudrais suggérer que nous changions de paradigme, que nous puissions promouvoir la coopération, ça a été dit, et opérationnaliser la convention de Kampala. Notre frère Chaloka l'a dit, ce n'est pas encore le pas. Nous devons changer la manière d'aborder cette question en opérationnalisant cette convention, en prenant plus d'engagement pour trouver des solutions au déplacement forcé. Malheureusement, nous ne sommes pas très optimistes vu le nombre qui ne fait que croître. Et la solution et les solutions dépendront de notre engagement à nous tous, la volonté politique et notre ferme engagement à trouver des solutions durables au déplacement forcé. Il nous faut être beaucoup plus concrets, aller de l'avant. J'invite, mesdames et messieurs, chers participants, je nous invite tous à apporter notre contribution à la réduction des facteurs, des causes profondes qui conduisent au déplacement forcé sur le continent. C'est ensemble que nous devons participer à la réalisation d'une Afrique unie que nous voulons, une Afrique qui soit prospère, qui soit intégrée, une Afrique en paix et une Afrique où nous n'aurons plus de personnes déplacées de force sur le continent. Nous avons certainement fait quelque chose d'important, mais nous pouvons mieux faire en soutenant ces personnes déplacées, en protégeant leurs droits et surtout en garantissant ces droits. C'est sur ces quelques mots que je tiens à dire merci à vous, Excellence, pour votre présence. Merci à notre frère ministre et à l'ensemble des participants. Nous sommes au terme de nos travaux. Je ne peux quitter cette tribune sans dire merci à tous ceux qui nous ont accompagnés d'une manière ou d'une autre dans cette œuvre que nous avons eue ici à Kampala durant les 2 jours. Je remercie les interprètes qui sont avec nous, mon équipe, l'équipe de Aga et l'équipe du directeur Kabele que je vous demande d'acclamer parce qu'on n'aurait pas pu être ici sans leur engagement également. Merci à vous Kabele et à votre équipe. Merci à tous les participants et les techniciens. On boit le café, le thé. Merci à cet hôtel qui nous a permis d'être ici et je vous souhaite bon voyage pour ceux qui prendront un avion et bon retour dans vos familles respectives. Merci beaucoup, Excellence. Merci à vous tous.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for those closing remarks. It's now my pleasure to call on His Excellency, the Deputy Minister, or Minister of State, rather, Munyoro Affairs. Excellency, come to the stage and call on our guest of honor, the Right Honorable the Deputy Speaker. Excellency. Yes.
The Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to thank the Speaker for finding time out of his busy schedule to come and address this convention. Thank you very much. I now take this singular honor to invite you to address the convention and thereafter close it. Right Honorable.
Honorable Minister, Your Excellency the Ambassador, Ambassadors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all and welcome you to Uganda, even if it has already been done. I do that in my capacity now. I was called last night that I should come here. If there had been anybody else, I would have said no. But there's a person I couldn't say no to. And he asked me to liaise with Ambassador Otengo to get the details. So she calls me and tells me that I should be at 9 in the morning. And I was ready and set to come here at 9 o'clock. Then when they changed the program, I called to complain. And they said, no, you know, Africa has a very wide span and a different time zones. So she thought she was talking from Equatorial Guinea. Because I think it's about 9 o'clock there now in the morning. So I said, okay, but your confusion has cost me a lot. But I'm here, I'm delighted to be here. This is one of those things that is very important to me. Probably that's why they called me to come. Many years back, at the end of the Second World War, to be exact in 1951, but 3 years later, the world came together after signing the UN Convention, after declaring that never again shall we have war against peoples. They came together to sign the Refugee Convention. But all of you will recall that it was only about the Europeans. It had nothing to do with the rest of the world. It was only about Europe and Europeans. Refugees, European refugees, or people who are refugees in Europe. It took a few years, up to I think 1967, when a decision was made to remove the restriction to Europe, or Europeans, and make it cover the whole world. It was a recognition that yes, we said never again, but never again seemed not to be never again. We seem to have problems that is generating refugees across the world without instruments or mechanisms for us to deal with them. If never again had been never again in 1948, there would have been no need to sign another protocol to improve on the Refugee Convention, to now take it out of Europe. In the same city of Geneva, other agreements were agreed upon, including the rules of engagement in war. At that time, they agreed that there should be some conduct when you prosecute war. Respect civilian and civilian installations. Those were some of the restrictions on the warring people and the combatants. But today, as I speak, that whole thing has been inverted. The wars that we engage in currently, and that's why it's so bad, and that's why it causes so much displacement, because we inverted that convention. Civilian installation become our target. Civilians become our target. And the worst person you want to be, the last person you want to be in a situation of these wars that go on now is a woman or a child. They have created severe impacts on our communities. But of course, the convention deals with the war, displacement by war. I was delighted to discover that the African Union has now signed a convention of its own to deal with its own situations of refugees, which is a good thing. It all hinges on the word displacement. The crucial word we should focus on is displacement. And we must interrogate all factors that lead to displacement so that we can comprehensively deal with the problem of displacement, especially in our continent, Africa. People leave their homes where they are settled, where their grandparents were, where the entire heritage is, to look for other places because of two main factors. They go to look for security, and they go to look for opportunities. And the things that cause this displacement are many. These days there are many, they are more than war. Of course, war causes displacement. Environmental issues that have been spoken to causes displacement. And so many other things cause displacement. So our focus should be wider to handle displacement as a whole and its factors and factors that cause it. We have all been victims. If you have not, you are very lucky and you are very few and you are very unfortunate because you don't have the experience to speak from. You speak dry language. Deter us from achieving what we must as leaders or as ordinary people or even as young people. We should pick whatever piece we can and move with it. I was in high school, I was in primary school, I started witnessing people being buried as a result of war. I was displaced myself. I engaged in war at an early age. I bear scars of war, physically, not metaphorically. But never did of a president. If I'd given up, I would not be here. So I want to encourage the young people participating in this meeting. Doesn't matter what your situation is, there's still hope. There's still hope. The Uganda policy is premised on an idea greater than law, on a passion of an individual who believed that no African should be without a home. That no African should be called a foreigner, especially in Africa. How can you be a foreigner in your own place? That is what inspired our president to adopt this policy that now the world seems to like, the open door policy for refugees. We host quite a number of people. We treat them well. But the problem is our treating them well has made some international agencies whose job it was in the first place to handle this thing to fold their hands, which is sad. Which is sad. In Uganda now we talk of refugee host communities. It's never supposed to be that under the convention. It's supposed to be refugee host countries, not communities. But our communities in Uganda are hosting refugees, treating them like brothers and sisters. After all, we're Africans. That is inspired by President Museveni's dream and desire that this continent should be one. The Pan-Africanist ideal, not just as a rhetoric, but as a point of action to try and help our people in distress. So Uganda is a good place to come. When you want to tell the story of war, you come to Uganda because you have had it and you have seen it all. If you want to talk about the situation of displacement, internal displacement, don't go anywhere else. Come to this country. We have big examples and experiences about internal displacement. When you want to talk about external displacement, refugees, many of our people who are refugees and in exile, including our own president, was in exile. So our treatment to our own is inspired by our own experience. But that calls for us to do greater to avoid situations that can lead to displacement. And I call upon the African Union really to put pressure on states and its members that this situation, especially war, should cease in our continent. The sad bit is that we have a global world, and global interests. We have things that other people don't have, and they want it by hook or crook. So sometimes they even sponsor people to fight against each other so that they can take what they could not have taken if there was no war, which is sad. And they attend all our meetings. And they make plans accordingly. They ask for minerals, you refuse, they will come for you. You give contract to another country that is not theirs, they will come for you. But when they are coming for you, instead of just coming for you, they come for everybody, causing displacement and suffering to people who have no interest in what they are doing. That is the sad bit. And the African Union should focus on this. All these people who keep moving around, calling themselves all kinds of names, pretend to be good people, we should look at them carefully. And I speak this from my heart. I am not a diplomat, so forgive me. Let them who have listened, listen. And let them understand that we are not happy when such things happen. Because it causes problems, it causes displacement, it causes suffering for people who should not be suffering in their own countries. Our countries, they were divided, were parceled up and put, but that's all we have. We don't have anywhere else. This is what we have. Why must you agree for resources, minerals, and cause us to start running away from our own countries? I've heard stories. I don't want to go far. I attended a meeting where I was meeting the president and some delegation from one country said they were under attack by some country. They had withdrawn forces because they had signed a contract with the Chinese. These experiences are there. And they are true. They're not stories. They now even act them in movies how they mess us up. And those movies are not jokes, they are true. They're scripts from which some of these actions are calculated and implemented. I was not supposed to say these things, but forgive me. The mistake was not mine to invite myself here. So as we commemorate, we must ask some questions. Because commemoration essentially is about a review. It's an assessment. What have we done so far 10 years down the line? What have we been able to achieve? What gaps remain? And what we have achieved must be tangible. What we have achieved must have an impact on the ordinary person in the continent. Because if they only stay on the surface, up there, they're not having any effect. All of us must work with one image in mind. That one woman carrying a child on her back, carrying water on her head, and walking on foot to take water home. That's the image we must have. That our actions, our thoughts and actions, and whatever we do in meetings must have that picture in our mind. We must be able to change their placement, change their condition in what we do. Otherwise, all action will be in vain. We never like acting in vain. May God bless you. And with these few words, you know where I come from, we don't like closing meetings. We like adjourning them. So I was asked to close, but I'll do what I always do. With these few words, now I declare this meeting adjourned sine die.
Wow, that was something else. I think the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker deserves a standing ovation. I'm sorry. Absolutely, 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 absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Excellencies. Thank you so much, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, for that very passionate statement. We all heard you clear, loud and clear. You were talking from the heart, and really that appealed to all of us. Excellencies, we are drawing to a close now, and allow me to do the needful. The Right Honorable the Deputy Speaker of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Minister of State for Bunyoro Affairs, Office of the Prime Minister, Honorable Commissioner for Refugees in the Office of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency Commissioner for Political Affairs, African Union, Your Excellency Ambassador of Uganda to Ethiopia and the PR to the African Union and Chairperson of the PRC Subcommittee on Refugees, Returnees, and IDPs, Your Excellency Ambassador of Equatorial Guinea to Ethiopia and the PR to the African Union, the Republic of the African Union and UNHCR, and the representative of the champion of the theme of the year. Your Excellencies, ambassadors, members of the PRC, most notably the Ambassador of Sahrawi and the Ambassador of Mauritius here with us, distinguished representatives of member states here present, honorable representatives of the AU organs and institutions, representatives of the regional economic communities here present, distinguished representatives of the UN agencies, and most notably our brother Mr. Cosmas Chanda, distinguished representatives of our partners, and most notably GIZ, who are here, and other partners in our midst, representatives of civil society organizations, NGOs, academia, and the media, distinguished guests, my colleagues from the African Union Commission, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I'm happy that we have now come to this stage, and our forum has been officially closed. But I would like to just remind that this is a continuing conversation. This is a continuing conversation. We're not closing anything, much as the forum has been adjourned, but the conversation will continue. And in that vein, let's recall that our leaders have declared 2020 the year of silencing the guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development. Therefore, the theme we're handling, the Right Honorable the Deputy Speaker, is also germane for our task in 2020. I would like to just request His Excellency to allow us just a couple of minutes to do a few things with your in your presence, Excellency. The first is to welcome 3 countries that are in our midst that have recently ratified the Kampala Convention. And these are Somalia, round of applause, Equatorial Guinea, and South Sudan. We welcome them, and in that regard, we would like to do a small ceremony in the presence of the Right Honorable. Right here. Can we have the reps of the 3 countries, please, upstage here with the Right Honorable the Deputy Speaker, so that we do the needful. The rep of Somalia, please. Representative of Somalia. Representative of Equatorial Guinea is already here, the champion. And representative of South Sudan. And I would like the high table to stand. Where is the roving mic? Who takes this mic here from me? Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just quickly, thank you. And then just stand there so that the picture can be taken. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, thank you so much, thank you so much. Great. Yes, so you hold hands. Together, yes. Together and then exactly, yes, yes, yes. Like that. Thank you so much, Excellencies. Thank you so much. We congratulate the 3 countries, and we encourage all the other remaining 25 we had No, no. Thank you so much. Let's congratulate them again, Excellencies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's okay. Thank you. We'll move quickly, and I hope we can do this as fast as we can so that we don't detain His Excellency for too long. Just to indicate that as we heard from the panel that shared some interesting insights with us earlier on, we have 40 signatures of the Kampala Convention. We have 30 ratifications of the Kampala Convention. It entered into force on the 23rd October 2000. It was adopted on 23rd October 2009, came into force on 6th December 2012, which is this day, that's why we're commemorating here. And as the Commissioner made a clarion call, we really appeal to all the other 25 member states of our union that have not yet done so to ratify as soon as possible this important treaty, as the Right Honorable the Deputy Speaker has eloquently reminded us. Now, quickly, we now have a cake here. I'm not sure whether you can see it. We have the cake for the anniversary on my right. Where is my team? Hey, Rita, please. Let's see. So they will come, the high table will come to cut here. Yes, because we would like to have the high table to come to cut the cake. To cut the cake. Am I correct? Or we take it, where will it be cut? Chaloka will also take this opportunity. MPs? Please? Are there MPs here? Please. Yes, MPs who are here, members of parliament, please. Yes, Excellency. And we would like to also ask Professor Chaloka to announce, or after. After, yes. We'll do the needful, Excellency, yes. Yes. Please, join the Right Honorable. Please. No, not this way. Yes, please. Let's do the needful. Yes. Thank you so much. Do we sing a happy birthday song? Oh, yes, please. The Right Honorable. Happy birthday to you. And now his birthday. His birthday.
No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now we will ask Professor Shaloka. Where is Professor Shaloka? Please. Or you'll do it from the podium. Yeah. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, moderator. As we cut the cake, taste and eat it, celebrate the Kampala Convention, we should also commemorate those that were critical to its design, formulation, adoption, from our heads of states right up to the experts that were involved. And I would just like to give a synopsis of that. His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, in his capacity as host, assumed the role of chief champion of the summit. In the West African region, His Excellency Ernest Bai Koroma, former President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, was the West African champion. The Southern African region champion, His Excellency Jacob Zuma, former President of the Republic of South Africa. In the Central African region, His Excellency Denis Sassou Nguesso, President of the Republic of Congo. For the East African region, His Excellency Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former President of the United Republic of Tanzania. In the North African region, His Excellency Abdelaziz Bouteflika, former President of the Republic of Algeria. So you will see that our heads of states were fully involved in this process. Acting with them was a group of eminent persons and personalities to support the convention, to mobilize efforts. Ms. Gracia Machel, former Minister, Mozambique, Professor Commission, Bishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa, the late Mr. Kofi Annan, former Secretary General, the late Professor Wangari Maathai from Kenya. Below the list of individuals who were eminent personalities, it's also good to acknowledge what was done at that particular summit as we reflect, and we will see that some of the issues that we have discussed were led by the heads of states themselves. The chief champion, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, gave the keynote address. The issue of prevention and root causes was addressed by His Excellency Ernest Bai Koroma, then President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and the discussant was His Excellency Jacob Kellenberger, former President of the ICRC. Burden sharing and protracted situations, the discussion here was led by His Excellency Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and the discussant was His Excellency Antonio Guterres, then former UN High Commissioner for Refugees and now UN Secretary General. Reconciliation and post-conflict reconstruction, this was led by His Excellency Jacob Zuma, former President of the Republic of South Africa, and the discussant was Mr. Hassan Babubakar Jallo, former prosecutor of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, and now Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Gambia. Refugees in mixed migrations, His Excellency Abdelaziz Bouteflika, former President of the Republic of Algeria, led the discussion, and the discussant was His Excellency Mr. William Leslie Swing, former Director of IOM. Then last but not least, natural disasters, climate change, and food security. The discussion was led by His Excellency Denis Sassou Nguesso, President of the Republic of Congo, and the discussant, His Excellency John Holmes, former UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator. In terms of the key contributors, experts, and consultants, first of all, members of the African Union Commission. And here we had His Excellency John Ping, Chairperson of the AU, who provided political leadership. And we honor the officers as well, not just the individuals, because the successors have continued this role. And we here acknowledge His Excellency Maisa Faki Muhammad as the Chairperson of the African Union. Former United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Antonio Guterres, and now UN Secretary General. Her Excellency, then Commissioner for Political Affairs, Ms. Julia Dolly Joyner, and now ably succeeded by Her Excellency Minata Samate Sesuma, who has continued this work everywhere where I have gone in the context of these gatherings. She has been there. The Office of the Special Rapporteur on the Human Rights of IDPs. Here we remember Professor Walter Kellin, who was then representative of the Secretary General on the Human Rights of IDPs and gave critical advice to the meeting. We remember on His Excellency Francis Deng, the first representative of the Secretary General on internally displaced persons, and also the father of the guiding principles on internal displacement. And some of us refer to him as the father of the IDP system in terms of protection. There were then experts seconded by UNHCR. I think you've heard it already. I won't say much more. I was the lead expert here in relation to the process. Mr. Wafula Reni Mike was then senior consultant to the AU Special Summit and seconded to AU on a full-time basis, and now police officer at UNHCR representation at AU, UNECA, NDP-A. Mr. Behani Tom Mokira Nyanduga, who was Special Rapporteur of the African Union Commission on Human and People's Rights on migrants, refugees, and internally displaced persons. His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Chilengi, he was President of Civil Society on IDP Rights, now Zambia's Ambassador to Turkey. Development Bank. We had our own from Uganda, Ms. Maclean Manyanja, who was acting head of the Division for Refugees, Displaced Persons at the African Union Commission. And still continuing with full of energy, here we acknowledge Ms. Rita Amakobu, the political officer at the Humanitarian Refugee Division of the AU. And I think you acknowledge that Rita, who was an outstanding presence at that time, continues up to now to oversee this work. Ms. Haja Kamara, who was Political Affairs Officer, also at the Humanitarian Division of the AU. Habiba Mejre Kain Yeye Nebo Sen. And then we come to the UN agencies. Our own Mr. George William Okothobo, who was until last week Assistant High Commissioner for Refugees and now Assistant Secretary General in charge of the Secretariat of the High Panel level on internal displacement. His Excellency Ambassador Ilunga Gandu, who was the UNHCR representative in Ethiopia and the main contact with the African Union. And we see that he has been ably succeeded, and we honor Mr. Cosmas Chanda, His Excellency, for the work that he's doing in supporting the work that his office and predecessors commenced a long time ago. Mr. Moses Okello, UNHCR, he was then the representative of the national office in Ethiopia, UNHCR. Mr. Befakadu Behanu, UNHCR Deputy Representative to the AU. Brigitte Makango Eno, Senior Legal Officer, Department of Political Affairs. Kavita Belani, Liaison Officer, now Senior Protection Cluster Coordinator in Juba, South Sudan. And Ebenezer Mekuria, ICT ADES. And we also add here our own Tedenek, who was involved in the context of those offices. Jonathan Okech, the head of OCHA. I see the director is standing by me, so I have to rush. And from the point of view of Uganda, this convention would not have happened without the leadership of the Honorable Tassis Gebwejere, who was then the minister who chaired the interministerial meeting. He withstood insults from fellow ministers and others. And he said to me, it's what we have to take. We don't respond. Otherwise, we jeopardize the process. Ambassador Muli Katende, and finally, Ambassador Migume James, who was Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. May we show our appreciation to all of these. Dr. Kapele Matlosa, who succeeded His Excellency Emeo Enyimba as Director of Political Affairs, also deserves honor. He has continued to carry on this work to implement the African Union Convention on IDPs, the Kampala Convention, and we also give him our respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm sorry to, we seem to be putting pressure on people. We are behind schedule, badly. It's already after 2, and we have to have lunch. Now, 2 quick things that we need to go through quickly is the Commissioner had already started to thank people that, were behind the scenes in making this forum a success. We need to complete that. And I would like you to join me in thanking the following people. From the August Secretariat, Ambassador Salah Hamad, Rizan Magda, Haja, Emanuela Adi. From our humanitarian division, Mr. Olabisi Dare, Rita, Wafula, Alehon, Michelle, Ayok, Freewood, Bedilu. From the Directorate of Information, please let's thank the Director of the Information and Communications, and Ms. Doreen, who is here with us, Apollo. And from the Office of the Commissioner, start with thanking the Commissioner herself for political leadership of this whole process. Really, we appreciate the guidance. And Fatou, who is here with us, and Yusuf. And from protocol, we have 2 colleagues, Mushimba and Samson. Our partners deserve a round of applause as well. GIZ, UNHCR, and IRI. And we cannot forget our AU organs that are here with us, who also contributed a great deal in making this a success, as well as the regional economic communities. Notably COMESA, who also made a direct contribution to resources for this meeting. The media team has done an excellent job. We can see already yourselves. This is excellent. So the media team deserves a round of applause. Our interpreters to facilitate our dialogue. And last but not least, Your Excellencies, yourselves, for honoring our invitation. Thank you so much. And we wish you a bon voyage as you travel back to your countries. But then the last thing, we need to now close it nicely with the anthems. the AU anthem. We'll start with the AU anthem. We'll stand the AU anthem and then close with the anthem of Uganda. Thank you so much. Protocol, please. Anthem for the Republic of Uganda, please. Thank you so much, and we wish you safe trips back home. And let's remember, the conversation continues, and next year we are meeting again on the occasion of the 9th high-level dialogue. The theme will be linked to the theme of the year for 2020, which is silencing the guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development. Thank you so much. Bon voyage.